Well guys, it's that time of year again, and no, I'm not just talking about the time of year for Switch 2, because yeah, this is a new year where we're getting a brand new Nintendo console in the summer, which just sounds strange, but literally in less than 30 days, we're getting our hands on the next Nintendo Switch and a brand new Mario Kart game. But I don't want to really talk about that right now, because there's something else to look forward to as well, probably in that same exact launch month, and I'm talking about a Nintendo Direct, baby. Yes, I am about 99.9% confident that we will be receiving a big Nintendo Direct in the month of June. Why do I think this? Not just because it seems like it's Nintendo's new standard, because obviously with E3 gone, Nintendo has their own presentations. They had one last year in June, which was pretty big. The year before that, they actually waited until July to have theirs. But I'd be willing to bet that June could very well be the month that we get a new Nintendo Direct, and the first one for Switch 2. And by the end of this video, I can pretty much guarantee you that you'll agree with me as well. First, I want to thank you all for tuning in and leaving so many brand new subscriptions and likes on yesterday's video. We got over 270 brand new subscribers in one day. Let's see if we can get even 300 in today's video if I was able to convince you that Switch 2 is having its first Direct literally in a month. Well, the main thing that make me say this is the fact that not because we necessarily need to have some announcements in June. If it wasn't for the fact that we have so many things coming already, I probably wouldn't be feeling this way. But yeah, it's the fact that Nintendo has so many games that they need to talk about and show new information for. This even includes maybe some of the Switch 2 edition games. For instance, Mario Party Jamboree does have a release date already for July. Maybe they want to give another small trailer for it. I mean, this is something they could easily drop on Twitter or even the Nintendo Switch 2 online app, so who really cares? It's not that big of a deal. And both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom aren't really getting any crazy new content where they need to show trailers for it. It's not like it's giving it DLC or additional dungeons or something like that. Nope, it's just adding a couple of things like some new, story beats that you can listen to on the map and find, and obviously just integrating that new navigational app features. So there's not a lot that they would show off in a Direct for these games. Now, Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus Star-Crossed World is coming at the end of August, but we've hardly seen anything of this, and I feel like they might want to give another trailer showcasing what this new extra gameplay is going to be, and maybe just hyping it up a little bit more before it releases, and a Nintendo Direct is a great place to do that in. Shoot, maybe they just want to use this Direct to also show off new information on Pokemon Legends ZA, which is a great place to do so. I'm sure Pokemon Company has their own Direct, or technically their own Pokemon Presents plan for this thing, as it's probably not going to be releasing until like the very end of the year, and it's already slated for holidays, so I'm guessing around November, but Nintendo could definitely show it off in a Direct. They've done so with Pokemon before. But let's get into the actual games that Nintendo still needs to talk about. Whether you're excited or not for Dragon Drive, it doesn't even have a release date. It's literally just scheduled for summer of 2025, so Nintendo's going to want to give it a release date and maybe show off more maps for it and additional modes, and a real reason for people to want to buy this, because what we've seen so far was very base level. Maybe there's still a lot more to this game that we haven't seen so far, so Nintendo's going to want to sell this a lot more than they have already. You may have just seen Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it's coming out in 2 months, so Nintendo's going to have to touch on this game a lot more. I still think there could be a potential for some type of Donkey Kong Bonanza specific Direct this month in May, or they might just wait for June in order to showcase the game even more, because either way, they have to talk about this game a lot more with it releasing just a couple of months, and especially as one of the first huge games for Switch 2, this is a very important game for Nintendo, so I can definitely see them fleshing this out a lot more during the Direct in June. Metroid Prime 4 is a game that's gotten bits and pieces of coverage here and there, but still not that big reveal trailer that we're waiting for. Like, we've gotten a reveal trailer, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about that big one, the big cinematic that shows bosses, different worlds, different enemies, combat, different abilities that Samus will have. An actual high-intensity action trailer is what we need for this game. Plus, we don't even have a release date. We have no clue when this game is coming out, yet we've seen bunches of pieces of information, even a Nintendo Treehouse coverage of this game, but still no release date, and we hardly know anything about the story or really anything that's going on in this game. So Nintendo definitely needs to flesh this out as one of their bigger games for this year, as I'm expecting it to be towards the holiday, but not necessarily the holiday game. GameCube Virtual Console is launching the same day as Switch 2, but it's only going to have 3 games, with Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2, and by the time time of this Direct is most likely going to be after Switch 2 launches, as Switch 2 is at the very first week of June. They're probably going to want to announce a couple more games to get us excited for, and that's something else that they could do for this Nintendo Direct. The Air Riders is a game that's coming this year as well, and once again, has no release date, and we didn't even get a proper trailer or any type of look at the gameplay so far. So this is a game that Nintendo's definitely going to want to touch on and talk about, and may even be one of their bigger focuses, as it's probably going to be a big game later on this year. But once again, not necessarily the holiday game. Nintendo also has another Hyrule Warriors game coming with Age of Imprisonment, and it may not be everybody's cup of tea, but this is still a game that Nintendo's going to want to talk about and cover, because they also didn't really give us a trailer. We got like a 15-second snippet of a couple of cutscenes and then a couple of characters doing a couple of things on the battlefield, and then it immediately cut out. It was literally just a glimpse as to what this game is going to be, so we need a proper trailer and of course a proper release date. Now, as you can see, there's just so much for Nintendo to talk about, and that's literally just everything that they announced for this year so far, and there's still so much more that they could still announce. Now, I don't think there's a whole bunch of more new titles coming. I think most of this year we've already seen what's coming, and I do think there's a couple surprises though. I do think there might be one or two smaller games, or at least one big holiday game, because we still haven't seen a holiday game yet. You could argue that maybe Metroid Prime 4 is the holiday game, or maybe it's Pokemon Legends ZA, but I would argue absolutely not. Pokemon Legends ZA is just another Pokemon release, and I'm not downplaying it or anything, but we see Pokemon releases all the time, almost every single holiday season, that's separate from whatever Nintendo's doing. Normally they release theirs in around November, and Nintendo releases their holiday game around September or October. And I still think Nintendo has a big holiday game planned. No, I also don't think Metroid Prime 4 is that holiday game, simply due to the fact that it's also a cross-release between Switch 1 and Switch 2, so it's not really that big Switch 2 exclusive for the holiday that Nintendo has behind their back that they can get people to buy Switch 2s for, because you don't need to buy a Switch 2 to play Metroid Prime 4. So what is the big holiday game? Well, that's what they need to announce at this Nintendo Direct. With a brand new console, this is very, very, very important, and I couldn't see them just completely skipping this summer without any type of Nintendo Direct to highlight whatever this big holiday game is going to be this year, because at the time of this Direct, we are already going to have in our hands the Switch 2 and Mario Kart World. So everybody's eyes are going to be looking at Donkey Kong and Metroid Prime, but what is this big holiday game to really get people to go out and buy this console? Of course, we got our Mario Kart. A lot of people think it could be our 3D Mario. I personally do not think so. As much of a 3D Mario fan that I am, and as much as I love 3D Mario, I do not think we'll see 3D Mario here. I think it might be a little while. It may not be until the fall Nintendo Direct in September, or maybe even as early as the Nintendo Direct at the beginning of next year in February until we see Mario. So I'm placing my bets as to something along the lines of either Animal Crossing or potentially even Luigi's Mansion 4. I'm personally hoping for Luigi's Mansion 4. I think it's definitely time, and it's something that not only can show the graphical power of Switch 2, as it's one of the best looking Switch 1 games with Luigi's Mansion 3, but it can also be something that fits perfectly as it's kind of this 3D puzzle ghost collection game, and I think it would be a perfect addition to a really great heavy start for Nintendo's first year of Switch 2. Now you see why I'm so confident for a Nintendo Direct to happen very, very soon. Because this is Nintendo's big new console. They really need to sell the next couple months in the holiday season and solidify everything that's coming and get people hyped for the Switch 2 games that are on the horizon, while also giving us new information on everything that they announced so far, because a lot of the games they showed off only gave us a snippet of gameplay and we're still due for so many release dates and trailers. And I feel like if they wait until September, a lot of these games will probably already be out, or at least very close to that release date regardless. So yeah, I think that September Direct is going to be focusing on all the games starting 2026 in the middle of 2026. So yes, I am very confident, very, very confident that we'll be having a big June Nintendo Direct, literally just a week or two after Switch 2 launches. But let me know in the comments down below what you think about this. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Definitely just let me know, and make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.